Sanctum has 2 to 4 adventurers battling demons along the journey to seal the Demon King back in his sarcophagus. Czech Games Edition provided this in exchange for an honest review. Every player gets their matching kit: a player board and reference, mini, rage tile, skill tiles and cards, and a health counter. They also get a number of stamina and focus tokens depending on their character. The exact amount is shown on their player boards. They also need a whole pile of gems. Let's look at the player boards now. The left side is where unlocked skill cards will go. The stamina and focus pools hold your starting and unlocked tokens. All characters have the same basic layout. Place 1 stamina on the head to block damage, place 2 on the body to block 2 damage, and place 2 of either token on the feet to block 1 damage. Red and blue make purple. Place a focus on the hands to modify a die by plus or minus 1 or 2, depending on which one you chose. Equipment, which I'll talk about later, will modify those further. The top is where you'll battle demons once you take them. I'll explain this later too. Let's look at the right side. Store loot at the top, and the small row under that is your gem pool. Gems will start on the skill cards and tokens. As you play, you'll move gems up the red, green, and blue tracks. Once a card or token has no gems on it, you've unlocked it. Gain the reward, then move the token to the side of your board, or place the card in the skill card area I showed earlier. As you can see, moving gems up makes it harder to move them off other skills. If you move gems up from the top cards/tokens, the gems go into your pool. At the start of the game, depending on player count, players will receive a bonus. This can be a potion, but it can also be a card that will instruct you to move gems up. Now you're closer to unlocking something. The main way you move gems is also how you gain equipment. Kill demons. Most turns, you'll move to the space in front of the player furthest up on the path, place demons based on the map's instructions, and then take 1 or more demons in a set. You can also fight demons. To fight, drink potions if you need to restore stamina or focus, then roll your dice. You'll start with 2, but unlock more throughout the game. Place dice on the matching demons. If you've hit the demon enough times, you've killed it. If you haven't killed a demon, it hits you for the damage shown below the dice icons. In the top left is the loot you'll receive for killing the demon. The demon's level is in the top right. Once killed, move the matching gem color that many times on your skill cards. For example, move a red gem up once, move a blue gem up 3 times, move 3 blue gems up once, and so on. White gems are wild, so move those as you like. As you play, you'll eventually run out of stamina and focus tokens and have a pile of equipment just sitting in your bag. I've mentioned that you can move and fight, but you can also rest, even before defeating all of your demons. Move all spent stamina and focus tokens into their pools, equip items by placing the equipment on the matching space on your character, and paying the gems from your gem pool. This is the other trick to the game. You don't just target demons based on the color to unlock skills, but also to equip specific loot. Trade any unwanted equipment for potions. You can only carry 4 potions, so keep that in mind. The final space on each board is the treasure chest. Once a player reaches it and adds demons to their board as usual, flip all the demon cards. That player gets first choice of loot. Put 1 item in your pack, then the next player chooses. Once everyone is gone, discard the leftover demons. Continue this process until you've reached the final board, which works quite differently. I don't want to spoil the final battle, so I'll just leave things at that. If anyone survived the final battle, the winner is the character with the most health remaining. There are things like achievements and some other things I left out, but this gives you the general idea of the game. Kill demons, upgrade your character, and hope you're prepared for the epic final battle. That's Sanctum. The first time you play Sanctum, expect it to take around 2 to 3 hours with the rules, you all learning the flow, and, as always, setup and takedown. Once you're comfortable, which will probably be the second game to be honest, 90 to 100 minutes. This is especially true if you made little character starting baggies like we did. This game takes up a lot of space. The game and player boards are huge, let alone the other boards, bits, and components. I wouldn't even try this on anything but a large rectangular table. The rulebook shows a good example of how to set up the central and player boards. You're fighting demons, and some cards in art are intense, but it's nowhere close to being as frightening as Sorcerer. If the box art is too scary, the game will be. The gameplay is fairly simple, and reading and math are grade 2 level. With that said, bad choices can make the end of the game impossible, if you even make it that far. Then again, there's plenty of mitigation, which I'll talk about later. Experienced 9-year-olds that are fine with the theme and art will probably be fine. In our third game of Sanctum, Mom rushed for the second board. Dad was trying to unlock all of his skills, and I was going for good equipment. Mom only had a few skills, but they were powerful. Dad was struggling to get the right gens because of how few blue monsters came out, so he was a bit light on equipment. During the final battle, Mom died because she blew through her dice manipulators too quickly. Dad and I managed things and ended up tied. We checked the tiebreaker, and Dad won. It was still fun. Malgazar was sealed in a jade sarcophagus until he was released, meaning a group of heroes must defeat him to seal him back. Have you looked at Sanctum's box? Yep, it's designed to look like a jade sarcophagus. They didn't need to do that, but it's a nice touch. The game is surprisingly puzzly. You won't be able to unlock everything, so you need to adapt to how demons come out so you can get the best combinations of skills and equipment, plus stamina and focus tokens. I like how you get different, randomized rewards if you aren't first player. They get first choice of demons, but at least you're a bit closer to unlocking something and gaining gems. The achievement system is a nice indirect competition between players, and tying them to bonuses for the final battle was very smart. Once you understand the game, turns, and even the entire game is much quicker than you would think when you first see it on the table. The movement system, add and take demons and move to the farthest open space, reminds me of Tokaido. You can manipulate things a bit to rush for the end, but need to watch what other players are doing. Is it more important to collect demons to battle for equipment and gem movement, or trigger the treasure step and get first choice of items to ruin an opponent's plans? There is a fair amount of luck because of the dice and how demons come out, but there's also a lot of mitigation. The amount of mitigation is also tied to luck, although it's mostly based on your decisions. The player boards are huge, and because they don't sit perfectly flat, it's too easy to bump them to knock the bits everywhere. I wonder how long this will feel fresh. The decks aren't huge, and the player options for leveling up is limited compared to a game like Diceborne Heroes. I'd love to see each player have another full set of skill cards. The current ones have an illustration on them because they go in a specific space on your board. If you had another set but randomly chose one of each type every game, that would add replayability. I'd also love to see maps with multiple paths. Is it worth taking the more dangerous but more rewarding path, or do you play it safer? I think Sanctum is an excellent, thinky, medium-weight game with a cool theme, but an expansion could make it great. I mentioned Sorcerer and Family Facts. That's a game where you can play over and over to get better at the game, but still have the randomness that forces you to rethink things. Because there are only 4 characters here and those limited choices, I can't see it being as fun on the 10th play as it was those first couple of times, but those first few plays will be awesome. If your family likes a theme and a competitive game that doesn't have players beating on one another, you should definitely check this out.